Today, we're going to go to Unit 3, feedback response to questions received from students. First of all, the oscillator. How would you define an oscillator? An oscillator is an electronic circuit that produces a periodic waveforms on its output with only the DC supply voltage as an input. Positive feedback. The return of a portion of the output signal to the input such that it reinforces and sustains the output. Voltage controlled oscillator, VCO, is a type of relaxation oscillator whose frequencies can be varied by DC control voltage. Phase lock loop, PLL, an integrated circuit, consists of a phase detector, a low pass filter, and a voltage controlled oscillator. Describe the operating principle of an oscillator. Oscillators are electronic circuits that produce a periodic waveform with only the DC supply voltage as an input. Common output waveforms are the sine wave, square wave, and a sawtooth wave. There you can see the DC supply voltage for oscillator, and it will give you either a sine wave, a square wave, or it will give you a sawtooth wave. These two types of oscillators are feedback oscillators and relaxation oscillators. Discuss the principle on which feedback oscillators is based. A feedback oscillator, a fraction of the output is returned to the input with no net phase shift. This means that the feedback circuit compensates for any phase shift in the amplifier and then reinforce the input, a condition known as positive feedback. There you can see there is a non-inverting amplifier with the input signal, the output signal that is fed back via a feedback circuit, and then if the amplifier is a non-inverting type, the feedback does not invert the amplifier output, producing a positive feedback. Positive feedback is characterized by the condition where a portion of the output voltage of an amplifier is fed back to the input with no net phase shift, resulting a reinforcement of the output signal. The basic idea is illustrated in the figure below. As you can see in the phase feedback voltage, VF is amplified to produce the output voltage, which in turn produces a feedback voltage. That is a loop is created in which a signal sustains itself and a continuous sinusoidal output is produced. This phenomenon is called oscillation. In some types of amplifier, the feedback circuit shifts the phase and the inverting amplifier is required to provide another phase shift so that there is no net phase shifts. This is illustrated in the figure below, figure B. You can see, first of all, you've got in figure A, both input and output signal in phase with each other. The signal is being fed back via the feedback circuit towards the input. And in the second figure, figure B, can you see the difference? 180 degrees phase shift between your input and your output signal, phase shift, and then the feedback circuit. Again, there's 180 degrees phase shift between your input to the feedback circuit and the output of the feedback circuit. In a feedback oscillator, a fraction of the output is returned to the input with no net phase shift. This means that the feedback circuit compensates for any phase shift in the amplifier and reinforce the input, a condition known as positive feedback. If the amplifier is inverting type, feedback circuit inverts the amplifier's output again, producing a positive feedback, as I just explained to you in the previous slide. So now a question, what is the gain required for amplified portion of a sine wave oscillator if a feedback fraction B is equal to 0,05. A closed loop, A voltage gain multiplied by your feedback factor. So A voltage gain is A closed loop divided by your feedback factor. In this particular case, your closed loop gain was 1 divided by 0,05. Gives you an answer of 20. Feedback oscillators require a small disturbance, such as that generated by thermal noise to start oscillation. This initial voltage starts the feedback process and oscillation. You can see it actually started small, then it just started bigger and bigger and bigger, and then at a certain point it just stayed constant with closed loop gain of equal to 1. Describe and analyze the operation of RC feedback oscillator. RC feedback is used in various lower frequency sine wave oscillators. The text covers 3, a wind bridge oscillator, a phase shift oscillator, and then a twin T oscillator. When the resistors and capacitors in the feedback circuits are equal, the frequency of a bridge is given by the formula F frequency is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi RC. So let's go for the example there. What is the frequency of a wind bridge? As you can see in this particular figure, frequency is 1 divided by 2 pi RC. See there, it's 1 divided by 2 pi. That's 680 ohm. Can you see that is a resistor R1 there that is on the input side? And the capacitor that is in series with that resistor R1 is 4,7 nanofarads. We do that calculation, find an answer there of 48,9 kilohertz. Conditions for oscillations with a phase shift oscillator is that if all resistors and capacitors are equal, the amplifier must have a gain of at least 29 to make up for that attenuation of a feedback circuit. This means that RF divided by R3 should be bigger or equal to 29. Attenuation B of a 3-section RC feedback circuit is B is equal to 1 divided by 29. Under these conditions, the frequency of oscillation is given by the frequency 1 divided by 2 pi, the square root of 6 divided by RC. And there you can see the circuit as indicated on this particular slide. Let's look at another example. Design a phase shift oscillator for a frequency of 800 Hz. The capacitors are to be equal to 10 nanofarad. Start by solving the resistor needed in the feedback circuit. R is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root 6 multiplied by FR multiplied by your capacitor value. That's equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of 6 multiplied by 800 Hz multiplied by 10 nanofarad. Gives me 8.12 kilo ohm. In this particular case, I'm going to use the nearest available value of 8,2 kilo ohm. Calculate now the feedback resistor needed. RF is equal to 29 multiplied by R. 29 multiplied by 8.2 kilo ohm. That's equal to 238 kilo ohm. Because in the question we state design a phase shift oscillator, it is important that you need to put in the circuit there as well. Otherwise, you're going to lose at least half of the marks. Now the twin T oscillator. Another type of RC feedback oscillator is called the twin T. Twin T because of a 2T type RC filters used in the feedback loop, as shown in the figure below. One of the twin T filters has a low pass response and the other has a high pass response. A combined parallel filter produces a band stop or notch response with a center frequency equal to the desired frequency of oscillation, as produce a band stop or notch response. As shown in the figure. Oscillation cannot occur at frequencies above or below FR because of a negative feedback through the filters. FR, however, there's a negligible negative feedback. Thus, a positive feedback through the voltage divider, R1 and R2, allows the circuit to oscillate. Let's go a little bit further. As I said, the basic 20 oscillator combines a low pass and a high pass filter to form a notch filter at oscillation frequency. An excellent notch filter can be formed by using resistors and capacitor related by the factor of 2 as shown here. With this relationship, the oscillation frequency is approximately 1, or FR is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi multiplied by RC. Next question, describe and analyze the operation of the LC feedback oscillator. LC feedback oscillators use resonant circuits in the feedback path. A popular oscillator, LC oscillator, is called the Colpitts oscillator. It uses basically 2 series capacitors in a resonant circuit. A feedback voltage is developed across C1. There you can see you've got your inductor there, and you've got C1 and C2 with a common point coupled towards ground. The equations or the formulas you're going to need to calculate or to design an LC feedback oscillator, or more particular the Colpitts oscillator, is FR is 1 upon 2 pi square root of LCT. CT is equal to brackets C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2. Your feedback factor B is equal to C2 divided by C1. Voltage gain is C1 divided by C2. And FR is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi LCT multiplied by the square root of Q squared divided by brackets Q squared plus 1. The effect is that a tank circuit is tapped. Usually C1 is larger capacitor because it develops a smaller voltage. The resonance frequency is found by frequent resonance frequency 1 divided by 2 pi square root of LC1. If Q is bigger than 10, the formula gives good results. Recall that the total capacitance of 2 series capacitors is the product over sum of the individual capacitors. Therefore, FR is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L multiplied by C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2, close your bracket. Look where everything is underneath a square. For Q smaller than 10, a correction for Q is equal to, use that formula. Now the next oscillator is the Hartley oscillator. A Hartley oscillator is similar to the Colpitts oscillator, except the resonance circuit consists of 2 series inductors or a single tap inductor and a parallel capacitor. The frequency for Q is bigger than 10 is, frequency is 1 divided by 2 pi square root of LT multiplied by C, or 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L1 plus L2, close your bracket, multiplied by C. One advantage of a Hartley oscillator is that it can be tuned by using a variable capacitor in the resonant circuit. Next type of oscillator we call the crystal oscillator, are highly stable oscillators for demanding circuits such as radio transmitters. Crystals have a very high Q value. Manufacturers prepare natural crystals using quartz by mounting a very thin slab between metal electrodes. When a small AC voltage is applied, a crystal oscillator adds its own resonant frequency. A crystal acts as a resonant circuit of a modified Colpitts oscillator and stabilizes for oscillations. A capacitor still tap of a feedback signal to the common emitter amplifier. Next question, describe and analyze the operation of a relaxation oscillator. Relaxation oscillators are characterized by RC timing circuits and a device that periodically changes states. A triangular wave oscillator is an example for this circuit. The device that changes states is a comparator with hysteresis or Wolf-Schmidt trigger, what we already did in the previous chapter. The RC timing device is an integrator. The comparator output can be used as a square wave output, and the trigger points set the triangular peak-to-peak voltages. That your upper trigger point is positive V max multiplied by R3 over R2. Lower trigger point is negative V minimum multiplied by R3 divided by R2. Or when your resonance frequency is 1 divided by 4 pi R1 multiplied by C multiplied by R2 divided by R3. Where you can clearly see the relaxation oscillator consists out of comparator as well as integrator, and then the square wave can be taken as an output from just the output of a comparator. A sawtooth voltage-controlled oscillator also uses an integrator to create the ramp portion of a waveform. In this case, when VC bigger than VG plus 0.7 volts, a PUT fires and the capacitor discharges rapidly. A voltage-controlled oscillator is a relaxation oscillator whose frequency can be changed by a variable DC-controlled voltage. Operation of a sawtooth voltage-controlled oscillator begins when the negative DC input voltage produces a positive going ramp at the output. During the time that the ramp is increasing, the circuit acts as a regular integrator, a PUT trigger, and when the output ramp at the anode exceeds the gate voltage by 0.7, the gate is set to approximate desired sawtooth peak voltage. A sawtooth voltage-controlled oscillator also uses an integrator to create a ramp portion of a waveform. In this case, when VC is bigger than VG, the gate voltage plus 0.7 volts, the PUT fire and the capacitor discharge rapidly. In the circuit, the device that changes state is a PUT, and the RC timing circuit is an integrator. Formula to find the frequency is found by frequency is equal to V in divided by 4 multiplied by RIC, everything multiplied by 1 divided by Vp minus Vf. A voltage-controlled oscillator is a relaxed oscillator whose frequency can be changed by a variable DC-controlled voltage. Operation of sawtooth DCO begins when negative DC input voltage produces a positive going ramp on the output. During the time that the ramp is increasing, the circuit acts as a regular integrator. PUT triggers, and when the output ramp at the anode exceeds the gate voltage by 0.7, the gate is set to approximate desired sawtooth peak voltage. Now, for the triangle wave generator, the frequency is found from FR1 divided by 4 R1C multiplied by R2 divided by R3. So in the next example, calculate the frequency of a circuit shown here. So you can see again the comparator with the integrator. RI 82K, R2 22K, the feedback resistor R3 is 10K, with a 10 nanofarad capacitor there. Substitute the values into this particular formula, and you will find the value of 671 Hertz. Now, describe the concept of voltage regulation. Electronic circuit that maintain essential constant output voltage with changing input voltage or load current. A line regulation is the percentage change in output voltage for a given change in input line voltage. Load regulation is a percentage change in output voltage for a given change of load current. Linear regulator is a voltage regulator in which the control element operates for a linear region. Switching regulator is a voltage regulator in which the control element operates as a switch. Here we can see the block diagram. of a series regulator, you will see it consists basically of the control element. In the feedback loop, you've got the sampling circuit, error detector, and the reference voltage that's been moved back to the input of your control element. Basic series regulator circuit, see there, it consists basically as op amp, a diode, a resistor, an NPN transistor, and then the sample circuit you see is where R2, R3, that basically form a voltage divider network. The series regulator block diagram, control element, sample, error detector, reference voltage, and the control element maintains a constant output voltage by varying the collector emitter voltage across the transistor. There you can see how the circuit look in the real world on the right hand side. Now the output voltage for series regulator circuit V out is equal to 1 plus R2 divided by R3 multiplied by V reference. So what is the output voltage for the series regulator as shown here? And the second question, if a load current is 200 milliamp, what is the power dissipation by Q1? V out, 1 plus R2 divided by R3 multiplied by V reference. Substitute that values and you find out that V out is equal to 12.2 volts. Load of the power dissipation in Q1 is equal to V times I. That's 18 volts minus 12.2 volts multiplied by the current of 0.2 amps or 200 milliamps. And you find an answer there of 1.16 watt. Current limiting prevent excessive load current. Q2 will conduct when the current through R4 develop 0.7 volts across Q2's VBE. This reduces basic current to Q1, limiting the load current. The current limit is IL max 0.7 divided by R4, because you will see that R4 moves to the base of the current limiter or NPN transistor Q2. For example, a 1.4 ohm resistor limits the current to about 0.5 amps. Fallback current limiting drops the load current well below the peak during overload conditions. Q2 conducts when VR5 plus VBE is equal to VR4 and begins current limiting. VR5 is found by applying the voltage divider rule. VR5, R5 divided by R5 plus R6 multiplied by V out. And an overload causes VR5 to drop because V out drops. This means that less current is needed to maintain conduction in Q2 and the load current drops. Describe and analyze operation of a linear shunt regulator. Of your linear shunt regulator, where you see you've got basically the input signal that moves via a resistor R1 towards the output, but then you've got the feedback, what consists of, again, the control element, the error detector, and the reference voltage. And what's happening in this particular case, also just the signal that moves into the control element is actually moved via a sample circuit that is basically compared with signal in the error detector. Or as you can see in the real world or the real circuit, error detector, control element with your sample circuit. Again, the sample circuit you will see consists out of a voltage divider type of network. Shunt regulating block diagram consists of, again, your resistor R1, a reference voltage, error detector, control element, a shunt, and your sample circuit. There you see the control element is basically a shunt. What it actually did, it coupled with output signal, or basically what it did, it was a problem in the output signal, or if the output signal should be reduced to a certain value, that transistor Q1 starts switching on and actually pulling your input signal down across your load. The control element maintains a constant output voltage by varying the collector current in the transistor. Shunt regulations use parallel transistors for the control element. If the output voltage change for op-amp senses the change and correct the bias on Q1 to follow. For example, a decrease in output voltage causes a decrease in VB and the increase in VC. Although it is less efficient than the series regulator, the shunt regulator has inherent short circuit protection. The maximum current when the output is shorted is equal to Vin divided by R1. The electronic or the type of regulator circuit shown in this particular case, is it a series, linear, or series switching, shunt switching, or none of the above? In this particular case, that is a series switching, because the figure shows a basic step-down switching regulating using a DMOSFET switching transistor. MOSFET transistors can switch faster than BJTs and have been improved in recent years. So they have become a preferred type of switching device, provided that the off-state voltage is not too high. Discuss the principle of switching regulators. Integrated circuit voltage regulators are available as series regulators or as switching regulators. The popular three-terminal regulator are often used on a separate PC board within a system because they are inexpensive and avoid problems associated with large power distribution systems such as noise pickup. Like for instance there, the 78XX series is fixed positive output regulator available in various packages and with a standard voltage output. 78 stands for positive, and that 05 means that is 5 volts output. 7808 is 8 volts output. 7824 is a positive 24 volts output. So the 78 indicate that's a positive signal, and the last two digits indicate what output you can expect from that particular integrated circuit voltage regulator. The only external component required with the 78XX series are input and output capacitors and some form of a heatsink. These ICs include thermal shutdown, protection, and internal current limiting. As you can see in that case, that is quite a small piece of electronic component, and the circuit is also very simple and straightforward to build. The only external components required, okay, the 78XX series are primarily used for fixed output voltages, but with additional components, they can be set for variable voltage and currents as well. 79 works in exactly the same way. Series a negative output counterpart to the 78XX series. However, pin assignments are different on the series. Other specifications are basically the same. As you can see there, 7905 is a negative 5 volts output. You will obtain a negative 5 volts output. 7912, you will obtain a negative 12 volts output. 7924, obtain a negative 24 volts output. The LM317 is adjustable positive output IC regulator. There's a fixed reference voltage of 1,25 volts between the output and adjustment terminals. There's no ground pin. The output voltage is calculated by V out is V reference multiplied by 1 plus R2 divided by R1 plus 1 adjustable multiplied by R2. Let's look for example there. What is V out? Assume that A DJ is 50 microamps. Solution V out 1,25 volts multiplied by 1 plus 2K divided by 150 ohm. That is 50 microamps multiplied by 2 kilo ohm, and that gives me an answer of 16,8 volts. Describe the application of an IC voltage regulator. IC regulators are limited to maximum allowable current before shutting down. The circuit shown is used an external pass transistor to increase the maximum available load current. 78XX, okay, 78 we know is a positive voltage regulator. R external set the point where QX begins to conduct. So R external is 0.7 volts divided by I max. For example, if I max is equal to 1 amp, R external is going to be equal to 0.7 ohm. What minimum power rating is required for R external? Power rating is I squared R, 1 squared multiplied by 0.7 ohm, and that gives me 0.7 watt.